Alright, what's good guys? IG Squad here, and welcome back to the 2023 IG Squad Summer Vlogs. We are now on to week 11, which is crazy. But I'm getting pretty excited for what's coming up. This week may be a little bit boring, but coming up soon, it's going to get fun. But that's what I've got, so let's go and get into it. Alright, so I'm going to just start by saying this. New week, new phone. I'm going to be recording this entire video on the iPhone 7. I know, kind of random, but you know what? We're kind of running out of phones to use. I'm just going to be straight up. I think I have like only one or two more, so I don't know what I'm going to shift back to after this. I may end up recording most of this on these older iPhones. Well, not older. I mean, older by modern standards, but you know what I mean. Anyways, none of that's important. Anywhoosie whatsy. So this week's going to be kind of boring. We are fresh off of the July phone diving adventures, or at least the first part. We're actually doing, this is technically a three-part episode. It's all going to be in one thing. But yeah, three-part episode where we go into 3 completely different locations throughout the city. So we're going to see what we can do in terms of that. And yeah, so last week, I mean, was a pretty boring vlog. We just, NHL free agency. We were just talking about all of that stuff. So now we're getting into some slightly more fun things. So, yeah, like I said, fresh off of phone diving adventures. This week's gonna be kind of boring. We're going to a movie tonight. I don't remember what it's called, but we're going to see something tonight. And then, but make sure to stay tuned for next week, because next week, or is it 2 weeks? I think it's next week. Let me verify that. Next week is going to be fun, because next week is the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix, which is always a fun event. I'm not doing a ton of video content for it anymore, but I am going to be taking a lot of photos. I'm trying to decide if I want to do like a Flickr gallery for that. I might, honestly, and have you guys, be able to view it, be able to check out some of the images. I'm obviously going to post some stuff on Instagram. Make sure to follow me on Instagram if you're not, on both my accounts, my main account and my sports account. I post a lot of cool stuff over there. But yeah, that's what we got going on. But let's get into this week's vlog before we get to that. Alright, so it's the next day. We went to go see the new movie, Joyride, last night. It was balls to the walls, but honestly, it was pretty decent for being, absolutely insane. So recommend, but, you gotta be into some really slapstick kind of stuff. But anyways, now it's kind of just crunch time to get last week's vlog done, which means get all the free agency stuff done, which might take a little while, because tomorrow I'm gonna be, tomorrow's gonna suck. I have to get up at 7 a.m. to go get blood tests, which is just great. So yeah, love doing that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not gonna be like completely out of commission, but I'll probably just edit everything today and then do the export and upload tomorrow. Means I have to do the thumbnail today too. Shit. Yeah, today's gonna be busy, so let's get to it, I guess. I've pretty much just accepted the fact that this week's vlog is gonna be late. It's been a slow day. I'm just like, I don't want to keep doing this, and I have to get up early just to go get blood tests. Like, fuck. Yeah, this is fun. But also, while I'm here, I only put the Eastern Conference in last week's vlog because I didn't realize how long it was going to be. So I'm actually going to, while I'm getting these blood tests, I'm probably mostly working or out of commission tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and put in the Western Conference right now. So this is here while I'm not vlogging. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to the Western Conference, and we'll start in the Central Division, which means we're going to start with the Arizona Coyotes. So, honestly, I don't think they did all that bad. So, on deadline day, they started out by signing Jason Zucker to a 1-year, $5.3 million contract. We wanted him back in Pittsburgh, but honestly, Arizona may not be the best place to play, but that's not a bad contract for a guy that's having the best season he's had since he left Minnesota. So that's not too bad. Um, Outside of that, they got a lot of guys back that they had lost from previous years, and two of them that they had actually lost at the trade deadline. So they re-signed Troy Stetcher, Nick Bukestad, and Alex Galchenyuk. All right, the Stetcher and Bukestad ones I kind of get, but the Galchenyuk one I really don't, and that's a two-way contract, which just makes it even weirder. Um, Troy Stetcher is 1 year, 1.1 million. Bukestad is 2 years, 2.1 million per. All right, that's fine. And another big move, they signed Alex Kerfoot to a 2-year, $3.5 million per year deal for a guy that's probably not going to be much more than a third liner at best. I don't know about that one, but I think the Coyotes did some stuff. They're probably still not going to make the playoffs because they're the Coyotes, but I think they did enough to make themselves better than they were last season. I'll give them a B. I don't think they did all that bad. The Chicago Blackhawks, so they made a couple of trades. They acquired Nick Foligno and signed him to a 1-year, $4 million deal. I think that's an overpayment. They then traded for Corey Perry the day before the deadline, signed him to a 1-year, $4 million deal. I think that's less of an overpayment, but still an overpayment. And all they did on deadline day is sign Ryan Donato to a 2-year, $2 million contract per year. Honestly, for Donato, that's not bad because he's a decent third liner, maybe even a second liner because it's Chicago. But how about you go and sign Bedard to his entry-level contract, and then you can really start getting some other things worked out. So Chicago, because they didn't do a ton on deadline day, and they're trying to hit cap floor, but they're also not doing a very good job. Also, the Andreas Athanasiou contract is not good at all. I'm going to give them a C. I don't think they did all that great. I really hate that Andreas Athanasiou contract. 2 years, $4.25 million per year. You gotta be kidding me. The Colorado Avalanche. Yeah, it was a little interesting. So, a couple days before deadline day, they acquire Ryan Johansson from the Nashville Predators in exchange for Alex Galchenyuk, who didn't sign with Nashville. So, that's a thing. But on deadline day, they did a few things. The biggest thing, they extended Bowen Byram for 2 years, $3.85 million per year. I don't hate that. I think Byram's going to develop as long as he doesn't keep getting hurt. Got to watch out for that. But I think Byram's going to develop into a top 4 defenseman for the Avalanche. And yeah, he's going to develop up on that depth chart. And as far as what else they did, they signed Jonathan Drouin to a 1-year, $825,000 contract. And they also signed Andrew Cogliano to a 1-year, $825,000 contract. Not sure why. And they also re-signed Jack Johnson to a 1-year, $775,000 contract. So you're not going to be trading for him at the trade deadline again. You did that last year for some reason, even though Jack Johnson is useless at 36 years old. I don't know. So the Avalanche, they didn't do a ton, but honestly, they didn't really need to do much. But I like the Byram contract, so B-. It's not bad. The Dallas Stars. They started out the day re-signing Joel Hanley to a 2-year, $787,500 contract per year. Not bad for a guy that we don't even know if he's going to play fully at the NHL level. It is not a 2-way contract, so he may end up playing on the 4th line, or he may just play on the minors the whole season. We don't know. But in terms of new players, they signed Craig Smith to a 1-year, $1 million deal. Honestly, that's not a bad price for Craig Smith. He's 33 years old. Decent 3rd, 4th line. not bad. And then the big name, they signed Matt Duchene, who just got his contract bought out by Nashville to a 1-year, $3 million deal. That is hell of a value for Matt Duchene, who 2 years ago had a 43-goal season, mind you. So he is still going to be producing. He's 32 years old. That is excellent value for Duchene. And if it works out, sign him longer term at the end of the season. Like, lock his ass up. And they also signed Sam Steele to a 1-year, $850,000 contract. Don't hate that, but who knows how much he's going to play, if he's just going to be a constant scratch or what's going to happen. And then outside of deadline day, they signed Gavin Bayreuther to a 1-year, $775,000 contract. He's probably going to be in the minors most of the time. And they also signed Derek Pouliot, who I thought retired 4 years ago, to a 1-year, $775,000 two-way contract. Why are guys still signing Derek Pouliot? This dude should have retired a while ago. Wait. He's 29? I didn't even see that until, oh, me. I must be thinking of someone different. Anyways, yeah, I love the Duchene deal. I'm going to give the Stars a B+. I like what they did. They just probably could have made more of a splash, but I guess they didn't really need to. The Minnesota Wild. Well, I'll give you the grade immediately. F-. They didn't do anything. And why did they not do anything? I couldn't really tell you. They basically let all of their UFAs walk. I think Brandon Duhaime is really the only one that's still available. But what they did on deadline day, they signed 2 minor leaguers that were not in their system before to a 2-year contract for Vinny Lettieri and a 1-year contract for Jake Lucchini. What the fuck? Yeah, so they still need to sign. They still need to sign Brandon Duhaime. They still need to sign Kalen Addison. I'm in pain. Like, did Bill Garrett also? Philip Gustafson, who at this point in time, because of last season, you should consider your starting goaltender. He's now stuck filing for arbitration because your sleepy ass won't fucking sign him. Are you really going to let who should be your starting goaltender just walk? Like, are you really going to bet on Marc-Andre Fleury that hard, who at almost 39 years old played like shit last season? Yeah, the Wild are the losers of free agency. It's not even close. And I hate saying that because I do like the Minnesota Wild. They're my second favorite team. But this shit is ridiculous. You have got to actually sign your players and not sit around. And if they don't figure this shit, if they don't get it done soon, I hate saying this as a Penguins fan because he played for the Penguins, but Bill Guerin has got to be fired. Minnesota Wild, losers of free agency. It's not even close. The Nashville Predators just continue to get older. So, they made a massive splash to start free agency. So, they started out by signing Luke Schenn to a 3-year, $2.75 million deal, who is 33 years old, is likely going to be a bottom pair defenseman, especially on the Nashville Predator, considering you have the best defenseman in the league in Roman Josi. And also, really? Schenn? Like, I get it, but man, I wish the Leafs would have ended up re-signing him. And then they signed, who was their enemy for a couple years, they signed Ryan O'Reilly to a 4-year, $4.5 million deal. Could Brad Treliving and Brendan Shanahan really not match that? Like, that is weird. Yeah, so Rylan O'Reilly is going to be in a Preds jersey after being a Blue for what, 5, 6 seasons? Wow, that is wild. And not only that, they also signed Gustav Nyquist to a 2-year, $3.19 million contract. Outside of that, they re-signed Cody Glass, 2 years, $2.5 million per year. Anthony Angelo, 2 years, $775,000 per year. He's probably going to be buried in the minors. And they re-signed Alex Carrier to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. Not bad. So they definitely did some things on deadline day. I'll give them a B because I think the Shen deal is a lot. And I think O'Reilly isn't a terrible deal, but you better hope he can play at least 75 games this season because that's going to be a waste if he keeps getting hurt again. The St. Louis Blues. Yeah, they didn't do a ton. No real major splashes. So, deadline day, it was mostly minor league contracts. They signed Malcolm Subban, Josh Jacobs, and Wyatt Kalynuk, who are all minor leaguers. Outside of the minor league, they signed Mackenzie McEachran to a 2-year, $775,000 per year contract. And that's about it. They didn't really do much. I'm going to give them a D. Like, honestly, I like the McEachran signing, but, like, how much of that is really going to work? Like, McEachran is not going to be off of the fourth line in St. Louis, considering you have Pavel Buchnevich, and you have a lot of star players on the team still, even though that team absolutely sucked last year. You probably should have tried to go out and trade for a decent starting goaltender. Not like there were many options out there, but you probably should have at least tried to explore the market because Jordan Binnington was, and you don't have a backup. Thomas Greiss is a free agent, and he's also 37 years old, so you got to find a backup goaltender. So yeah, I'm going to give the St. Louis Blues a D. They didn't do well. The Winnipeg Jets. They didn't do a ton, but I think they did just enough. So their biggest deal of the day, they re-signed Vlad Nemestikov to a 2-year, $2 million per year deal. Honestly, that's not bad. Nemestikov can be decent on the third line if you need him to be. Fourth line, likely. I don't hate that at all. And then they got 2 goaltenders, so if Hellebuck does leave, they have Laurent Brossoit back on a 1-year, $1.75 million deal. That is not bad considering Brossoit, after he came back from injury for Vegas last year, he kind of broke out. Like, that was not bad. And they also signed Colin Delia to a 1-year, $775,000 contract. Now, Hellebuck does have 1 year left on his contract, so he probably will play for them this season, but after that, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe they draft a goaltender. Maybe they have another starter. Who knows what they're going to do? Because Hellebuck sounds like he's not going to re-sign. So that's not bad. Outside of that, it's really just a couple of re-signings. They re-signed Axel Janssen-Fjallby and Dylan Sandberg. Those were well after deadline day. And they also signed Jeffrey Veal, 1 year, $775,000 contract. That's minor, very likely. So I'm going to give the Jets a B. I don't think they did too bad. I like the Brossoit signing. I like that you were able to bring him back on a pretty decent deal considering he did so well at the end of last season, and he also just won a Stanley Cup. So that is not bad. So yeah, B for the Winnipeg Jets. All right, let's finally move on to the Pacific Division, and let's start, of course, with the Anaheim Ducks. Immediately, they get an F. You still have not re-signed Trevor Zegras nor Troy Terry. What the hell are you doing? Instead, you went out and signed Radko Gudas to a retardedly overpriced contract. 3 years, $4 million per year for a defenseman that generates zero offense, and he's more interested in screaming in the face of a rookie goaltender. Yeah. Fuck Radko Gudas. Fuck that contract. That is terrible. And they also signed Alex Killorn to a 4-year, $6.25 million contract. I don't hate Killorn. Sucks. $6.25 million for a likely third liner for this Anaheim Ducks team that has Trevor Zegras and Troy Terry. Mind you, well, if they get re-signed, I hope. Come on. Like, that contract value is ridiculous. And then after that, they signed Robert Hagg to a 1-year, $775,000 contract. Sounds like that's going to be a minor berry, which Hagg is definitely at the NHL level, so that makes no fucking sense. So I don't get what the Ducks are doing. I'm giving them an F. That was fucking terrible. The Calgary Flames, what is Craig Conroy cooking up? Not much. So, they trade Tyler Toffoli to the Devils. They get Yegor Sharangovich. They sign him to a 2-year, $3.1 million contract. That, I think, is $1.1 million too much. I would have done 2 years, $2 million. I would have been totally happy for that. Totally happy with that for Sharangovich. I think Sharangovich is a decent third liner for sure. Third line right wing, like, he's probably one of the better ones, but that is way too much. And then free agency day, they signed Dryden Hunt to a 2-year, $775,000 contract. Two-way. Martin Pospisil, Colton Poolman, and Jordan Osterley. Are any of those guys going to play at the NHL level? Osterley's going to be the closest, $925,000 for a year. Like, Osterley's not a high-level player at all, but what? Like, Jacob Markstrom is not going to be a starting caliber goaltender for much longer if he keeps playing like he did last season. You probably should have gone out and tried to get a starting goaltender. Yeah, for me, Flames D-. I'm not impressed at all. The Edmonton Oilers. They started out the day, they signed Lane Peterson to a 2-year, $775,000 contract. I like that. He's probably going to end up playing fourth line center. And if he doesn't work out in training camp, you can just put him on waivers. Connor Brown, 1 year, $4 million. I think that maybe is a slight overpayment because Connor Brown, I don't think he played at all last season. And if he did, he didn't play many games. He was hurt for a lot of time. He was on a Capitals team that was hurt, that had every single player hurt at one point, I think. They also signed Drake Caggiula to a 2-year, $775,000 contract. That is two-way. Ben Gleason. They didn't do a lot, but they did what they needed to do before free agency actually opened up. They re-signed Matthias Janmark, re-signed Derek Ryan. They didn't have to do too much. So now you really just got to figure out, are you trading Ryan Nugent-Hopkins or not? At this point in time, I would say don't. Keep him as long as you can. Maybe try and trade him at the deadline. I don't know. So I'm going to give the Oilers a C+ because they didn't do a ton, but I guess they didn't really need to. The LA Kings, well, they got busy, so obviously their big move of the entire offseason has been trading and signing Pierre-Luc Dubois. 8 years, $8.5 million. Hopefully he doesn't Aaron Rodgers his way out of LA like he did in Columbus and in Winnipeg. This dude is a problem if he does that a third time. But outside of that, deadline day, they actually did a lot more than I thought. So they re-signed Jarrett Anderson Dolan, 1 year, $775,000. Who knows if he's even going to play at the NHL level? He probably will. He's probably going to play fourth line right wing, but we'll see. They also signed Mikhail Maltsev, and then it got interesting. So they signed Cam Talbot 1 year, $1 million. I actually don't hate that considering they lost Korpisalo. So I would assume going into the start of the season, Copley's going to be the starter, which obviously we've seen that Copley has a lot of potential and he can do that. But you actually signed two goaltenders. You have Cam Talbot and they also signed David Riddick. So who knows what they're going to do in terms of a backup. They could use either of them, honestly. They're both backup quality goaltenders. And Riddick could even step in and be the starter if Copley gets hurt or something. Or if he doesn't pan out. So, yes, I know. Big save Dave. He does dumb shit. But he can be great at times. And then they signed Andreas Englund to a 2-year, $1 million contract. All right. And then they brought Trevor Lewis back 1 year, $775,000. That is tremendous value for a guy that won 2 Stanley Cups with that team. So that's amazing. Outside of that, they just signed a couple of minor league contracts. So obviously, the Pierre-Luc Dubois signing is amazing. Yes, they probably gave up a little too much. I don't think they had to give up Velarde, Iafallo, Kupari, and a pick. That is a lot to give up, but I'll give the Kings a B because I think they did pretty well outside of the Dubois signing. So, yeah, not too bad. The San Jose Sharks, that was interesting. So, they lost James Reimer, so it's likely that Capo Kakinen is going to be a starting goaltender, or they may have the saddest competition for a starting goaltender in a long time. They now have Mackenzie Blackwood to compete for the starting job as well. 2 years, $2.35 million. That's a lot for a guy that consistently, time and time again, keeps getting hurt. So I think he could be a decent starting goaltender, but you gotta watch out because he is injury prone as all hell. It could be a huge problem. Outside of that, the other biggest contract, they signed Giovanni Smith to a 2-year, $800,000 per year contract. They signed Kyle Burrows to a 3-year, $1.1 million per year contract. I don't hate that at all. But the biggest move of the day, they acquired Anthony Duclair from the Florida Panthers. We'll see how that works out. I don't know. I like where Duclair ended up, but he's going into a team that is really not that far through a rebuild. So we'll see how it goes. Now, the biggest question for the Sharks is Erik Karlsson going to get traded? I'm pretty sure he did request a trade, and it sounds like it's going to be between the Carolina Hurricanes or the Pittsburgh Penguins, which, please come to Pittsburgh. Please, can we get Jeff Petrie or Mikhail Granlund or Casey DeSmith out of here? Please? We want you in Pittsburgh. Anyways, I think the Sharks did pretty well. I'll give them a B-. Not too bad. I like the Duclair trade. The Seattle Kraken. Ronnie Francis was cooking. So, they started out with a couple of minor league contracts, and then their big contract, which was a weird contract, they signed Brian Dumoulin to a 2-year, $3.15 million contract. Pittsburgh has lost another defenseman. That's an overpayment, but not too bad. And then the day after deadline day, they signed Kyler Yamamoto to a 1-year, $1.5 million contract. I don't hate that, but I mean, he's playing in his home state, so that's kind of cool, but yeah. And the day before deadline day, they re-signed Joey Decord to a 2-year, $2.4 million contract. I'm not sure. I'm assuming they're going in to next season planning for Grubauer to be the starter again, because I don't think Martin Jones is under contract, so I'm not sure. I'm assuming that Grubauer is going to go into being the starter, But if he goes back to his 2021 form, that is going to be a disaster. And if Decord is your backup, I think the Kraken might be in trouble. But I hope they can at least try to re-sign Jones or get some deal in place. But we'll see what happens. So I'm going to give the Kraken a C+. I don't hate what they did. I think the Dumoulin deal was a bit of an overpay. I don't know how Pittsburgh could match that if he was asking for that much, but yeah, it's a weird one. The Vancouver Canucks. This is interesting. So deadline day, they start out two for one. They sign Ian Cole to a 1-year, $3 million deal, overpayment. And then they signed Teddy Bluger to a 1-year, $1.9 million deal. Maybe a slight overpayment, but that's not too bad. Then they signed Carson Soucy to a 3-year, $3.25 million deal. Really? I don't know about that one. That's a little much. They also signed Matt Irwin, 1 year, $775,000, and they signed goaltender Zach Sawchenko, 1 year, $775 million. So I don't know about the Cole and Soucy contracts, the Bluger contract. I also don't really know about. I'm sure all three of them are going to play at the NHL level. Obviously, I mean, they all have been at the NHL level for a while. So kind of interesting deals. I'll give the Canucks a B-. I'll give the Canucks a B-. I don't hate what they did, but definitely some weird contracts. I'm really not sure about that Soucy one. And finally, the Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. As far as just deadline day alone, or not, as far as just free agency day alone, F-. They did literally nothing. But as far as general goes, they did re-sign Aiden Hill, 2 years, $4.9 million, and then a couple days before they re-signed Ivan Barbashev, 5 years, $5 million per year. Pretty decent contracts. I think Hill maybe a slight overpayment, but he did just win you a Stanley Cup, so I'd call that pretty good. But yeah, they didn't do really anything on deadline day. They also re-signed Yuri Patera, who is, I guess at this point, their third stringer. So who are they going to use as their starting goaltender this next season? If I had to take a guess, I would assume Hill's going to go into the season being their starter. And then I would guess, as far as their backup goes, probably Logan Thompson. Because I think what they should do is probably just go ahead and buy Leonard out and just set him loose, because he's not good. Who knows if he's even going to play again? He didn't play this whole last season. Apparently he was only going to be out for one season, but I don't know. So I'm going to give the Golden Knights because they won a Stanley Cup, I think the team will work, but I'm going to give them a D. They just didn't do anything on deadline day. Or free agency day. I don't even know how many times I said deadline day. All right, so it is the next day. I did get the blood work done, but I'm feeling all right. I'm going to take this off in a little bit. I was just about to get back to editing last week's vlog so I could try to get it up today, but if I don't, whatever. But before we do that, I don't know if you guys have seen that puck doku trend that's going around. I figured we actually give that a shot and just see how we do. I did yesterday's, and I did okay. Not amazing, but let's just see. Let's see what we got for today's puck doku. I really don't have any sort of very good angle for today. Alright, so we have a king and a flame. We have someone that played for the Lightning and the Kings. Kings in 50 assists in a single season. We have Red Wings and Flames, Sabres and Flames, Sabres and Lightning, Lightning and Red Wings, Red Wings and 50 assists in a single season, and Sabres and 50 assists in a single season. Okay. Well, I think we could start with the easy one. A King and a Flame, Trevor Lewis. That's pretty easy. Yep. A Red Wing and a Flame. LA, 50 assists. I guess Kempe. Did Kempe have 50 assists in a single season? No, he didn't. How about Kopitar? Kopitar did. Okay. 50 assists for the Red Wings. Larkin had to have had 50 assists at least in the past, like, 3 years, right? No? Alright, Gordy, or Yzerman. Yeah, okay. Sabres 50 assists. I guess, LaFontaine. Yeah. Sabre and Lightning. I don't know. I cannot get any of the Lightning. A King and a Bolt. Oh, fuck. Alright, I got Sabres and Lightning. Zach Bogosian. Yep, there we go. Completely forgot Ben Bishop ever played for the Kings. Alright, well, I got 6 of 9. I did actually pretty good yesterday. Let's see. Filppula, Mike Vernon, Nikita Zadorov play for the Sabres? Alright then. Toffoli, yeah, that makes sense. I had Trevor Lewis there. LeCavier, of course. Alright then. Alright, well, this is a great start to the day. Our water is just completely out along the entire street. What the fuck? Like... wow. I truly want to know what the hell just happened. It's always fucking something. Alright, so the water went out this morning at around 10 a.m. and it just came back on and it is 5:17 p.m. Great. At least it's back on, but what the fuck? What? The fuck, man? Alright, so it is now 2 days later. I didn't vlog anything yesterday. I didn't do much. I was really just doing a little bit of work here and there. Kept working on the startup and shutdown collection. That's going to take a long time. But anyways, yeah, so it's now Saturday. Yeah, got a bit of a problem. But we are actually filming part 2 of Phone Diving Adventures today. So we're going to go do that. There's this complex that's like half an hour from here, so we're going to head over there. This is part 2 of 3. So... yeah, the other part is right at the end of the month. So we have that today, and then starting in 2 days is the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix, which means we're going to see a lot of cars. So that's going to be a fun thing for next week's vlog, but we're focused on today, so let's go see what we can find. Alright, so some big things are happening. Huge things, actually. You guys are going to get excited for next week's vlog. Not only is it the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix, but we're gonna have a huge unboxing because I just bought a new laptop. Yep. I am getting a new computer sooner than I expected to, but I got a really good price, and I am actually switching back to PC. Now, I am going to be keeping my MacBook for now to do some, back-end stuff, kind of make it, sort of like a secondary, just have something that is a Mac to do Mac things, like maybe audio recording for a little bit, although I may, find a program that I can use on PC, but this is going to be my main editing computer. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. You guys are going to have to wait for next week's vlog, but I am super, super excited. But I will tell you right now that it is an Asus, so yeah, and it is smaller than my MacBook. Yeah, I'm really excited for this, so we'll see how this goes. Alright guys, that is going to be it for this vlog. We got a long week coming up. I know this was already a long vlog because I had to put in the Western Conference for my free agency reactions, so that's in here. But get geared up for next week's vlog because we have the Vintage Grand Prix, and also we're going to be seeing my brand new computer. What's replacing my MacBook Pro? You can all guess in the comments or on the community tab. I did post a little preview of what's going on there, but you guys will have to wait and see what it is. But I think it's gonna be pretty sweet. So yeah. But that's going to be it for me in this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Smash the thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button down below. Follow me on all my socials. You guys know what to do. And, yeah. This video might be edited on a PC. Yeah, it should be fun. Alright, I'll catch you guys. Peace.